What's going on, everybody? This is Dave with 15 for Coffee, business English for international superstars. If you're out there working your job internationally, maybe you work remote, maybe you're looking for better markets, maybe businesses are coming to you, like in Mexico, where nearshoring is taking over the economy and more money is flowing in than ever before. If that's you, if you're someone that sees the opportunity, has the vision and the skill set to achieve great goals and live the life of your dreams and find better opportunities, this is for you. Today, we're going to talk about communication styles. My big promise for you is that every video, I want to give you, no matter what level you're at, something you can use immediately to have a better interaction in English. Whether that's meeting your boss, meeting your coworkers, meeting the team, leading a meeting, or maybe it's the job interview for your dream job. So let's get started. We're also going to talk a little bit about the opportunities out there, talk about some of the challenges many students face all around the world, and then finally, my favorite part, give you that roadmap, that technique, that mentality that you can use in your next interaction, no matter what level English that you're at, for a better result. Whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, it doesn't matter. It's about how you use the gifts that you have more effectively, work smarter, not harder, optimize, leverage. Let's take your talents and let's get the results that you know you deserve. So let's get started. If you happen to like this, subscribe, hit the alert button. Every week, we're giving you something based on Fortune 500 sales strategies that you can use to get better results in your next meeting. So let's get after this. We talked about the internet a couple times already. I want to get into international business. Lingua franca, I think, is English. Check this out. We used this chart a couple times already, but it's a good example. Most frequent web content is in English, 52%. So if you have Spanish, you're at 5.5%. You add English, you're at like 57%, okay? Business is the same way. They say 50% of business in the entire world is done in English. 50%, that's a lot. So if you have, let's say Spanish is similar in business, 5, 6%, 7%, 8% is done in Spanish around the world. You're 10 timing your exposure to business opportunities. Okay, guys? Great opportunity. That's why you're a superstar. That's why I say you're a superstar, because all my students aren't your typical person. Most people stay in the lane, they stay at home, they work the traditional job. You don't. You have taken the initiative already to get a job in English, or you want a better job in English so that you can make more money, so that maybe your labor market is depressed and you're not getting paid your value. It's time to go outside of that. Back in the day, you had to live in these countries. That's completely different now. In 2024, you can access the internet, you have social media, you can create a market, you can create an audience there, you can sell to that audience as well. Huge opportunity, but we have a little bit of a problem. Oh yeah, I want to add another thing about international business, and we talked about this a little bit already, nearshoring. If you're in Mexico, the foreign direct investment is through the roof right now. For the last 4 years, it's increased exponentially. Mexico is poised to have its largest economic boom in history. But I want to ask you, are you going to be taking advantage of all the business that's coming from the US? Are you going to be taking advantage of the fact that Mexico is now the United States' largest trading partners? Exports over Q2, I believe it was Q2 of 2023 and Q2 of 2024, increased 7.7%. Did you know that in Spain, when the proficiency in English increases 1%, the export of the country increases 1%. It's nuts. You guys, this is the time. You don't need to live in the other country. You just need to speak English, but you can't just speak English. We need to dominate English, and that's what we're going to do. And you're saying, Dave, I understand this. I understand that's why I'm doing this, but it's just not working. I'm not getting the same results, and I want to go over this. We talk about this every video. You have an expression gap. You have a skill here in your language, and when you do it in English, it doesn't transfer. You have this gap. And even if it's small, because you're an ambitious, you're a highly motivated, maybe you're actually hard on yourself, you magnify this and it feels worse. And here's one of the reasons. If you want to check out the social English, check out last week's video. We get more into the social English aspect. But I want to talk today about the natural effect. Here's the thing. You might be really good at something in your language, but here's what ends up happening when people say, so what do you do for work? Yeah, maybe you give them a good answer, but maybe it's always a different answer and it's never exactly what you want to say. Or maybe they say, why are you good at that job? Why do you like your job? And you're kind of like, well, I don't really know why I'm good at it. I'm just good at it. Leave me alone. Like, I don't need to explain my greatness, right? So the reason this happens is what we call a level of competence called unconscious competence. We're either unconscious of how we're good at something, or we're not aware of how to articulate the value that we bring to other people. And that's fine in your own language, but when you go to do it in English, that doesn't transfer. That feeling, that influence, that confidence, that ability doesn't move into English. And that's what we're going to get into next, is how do we take our natural abilities in our own language and transfer them into English so that we have the same output or even higher output that increases our ability in our own language as well. So let's get into it. We're going to talk a lot about today. Another reason why I want to hit on this too really quick. No one taught you how to do this stuff. Like, no one taught you how. So I want to get into it pretty quick, but I want to go over this really fast. In case you're new to the channel, in case you're new to these videos, I want to talk about your superpowers. Empathy, curiosity, great questions. These are all things that are within you that you control, that you can start and do before. You're here because you have a talent and a skill and you want success. You deserve success. But here's the thing, is that sometimes even if we have a high talent in our English, we might not get really good results. But we see here that we can have a lower skill level. It doesn't matter your skill level. What matters is the strategy that you use. So what we're going to do is we're going to reframe our thinking. We're going to focus on what we have right now, and we're going to use it more effectively. We're going to take our current English. We're going to add a proven strategy based on Fortune 500 companies, based on my 17-year finance career in sales and service, my 7 investment licenses. I did over 150 million in phone sales. And I'm also a professional copywriter. So we're going to talk about email writing. We're going to talk about social media writing. We're going to talk about how to engage an audience in a way that makes them want to listen to you and they're curious about who you are. So today we're going to get into first video we did roadmap, value prop. If you haven't done the value prop, you got to go back to the value prop. That is the best. The best. If you are someone that's out there and you're like, man, I just don't feel like when I get in the situation, I have the same results. The value prop, it will organize everything you need to be an effective communicator in the moment without taking the attention, but really giving attention to others and creating engaging conversations. Today, this is a really cool exercise. We're going to get into communication styles. So we're going to start off with a Stoic quote, know thyself. Socrates. I'm going to talk about Stoics a lot because, again, focusing on what you control is a huge Stoic tenet. But let's get into this. We're already 9 minutes in. I want to give you guys this so you can take this and use it in your next interaction. Now, I'm going to simplify human behavior into 4 quadrants. Most people have a dominant behavior style, and what you're going to be able to do with this once you understand it, you're going to understand how you like to give and receive information. You're also going to be able to understand how to identify how other people like to give and receive information, and then remove barriers and strengthen your communication so that the message you deliver is received better. It's people, you're speaking their language. They understand what you're saying because you're adjusting who you are to them because you're the professional, you're the leader, you're the one that's going to add value. You're going to empower that other person to make a better decision and get a better result. So you need to know yourself and you need to be able to understand, to read the room, as we would say, and see what other people are feeling and thinking and the way they think. So we're going to break this down into 4 quadrants. The top here, we have extroverts and introverts. We know extroverts are more outgoing, introverts are more quiet. They like to stay home, that kind of thing, right? We're going to break it on left and right with logic and emotion. Again, we talked about how we establish things. We all are emotional first. You need to understand that. Maybe you're dominant as emotion. I'm more dominant logic. I used to be over here. I used to be a high empathizer, but once I learned that was really empathetic, it explained a lot about my behavior growing up and who I was and how I interacted with people and how I had negative reactions to things, like when I felt threatened or when I felt like embarrassed, how I would react. It came from understanding this. Empathizers are more internal, right? If you're someone that really cares about connection with people and you really are concerned about their feelings, right? You might be an empathizer. A performer, you like attention. A commander, you like control. You are in control. An analyzer likes information. They want to be correct. They don't want to make a mistake. They want to take the time. They're willing to take a time. An analyzer might have analysis by paralysis because they take too much time to process information. A performer might not prepare correctly for a meeting and rely on their gusto and their personality, but it might fall short because maybe they're presenting to a bunch of analyzers and they're looking at the performer like, bro, you're like the guy in high school, the jock that I didn't like because I was in science class and you're out here not doing your homework and trying to impress everyone because of the way you look or the way you act, right? So there's a lot that goes into here. I don't want to get into it for too long because I want you guys to take this away and be able to use this. So the first step to this, take a look at this. Try to figure out who you are. What do you like? What are your concerns? Where do you fall in this? What is your dominant style? And now I want you to start to think about other people that you react with, that you respond with, that you interact with rather. Like your boss. Where does your boss fit here? Does your boss like to bark orders? Is your boss a micromanager? They're probably a commander. So you don't go to your boss and say, hey, I think you should do this. You say, hey, boss, I want to do this benefit that you're going to benefit from. And here's 3 ideas I have. Which is the best one, right? Now you're going, which is the best idea? And you're giving them a choice. You're giving them the power to choose, even though you're actually laying out the choices. So you actually, in a way, have the real control. An analyzer, maybe you work with someone who's always like, that's the computer going. That's the analyzer going. So recognize that. So if you're over here and you're a performer and you start noticing that everyone you work with is an analyzer, you're extroverted, you come in the office, you're like, hey, everybody, I got coffee. How's your day? High five. And everyone's like, oh, man, this guy is really something else, right? It's because you might be a little bit different, which is great, but you work with them. So you want to have a good relationship. Maybe a client, maybe you're going to a client meeting and you notice your client's really quiet. They're very analytical. They're very slow and it drives you crazy because you're more fast-paced. You like to go. You are the professional. You need to adjust your style and adjust and observe, have that empathy. How do they want to receive information? I have a story about grandma, taking grandma to the store. I'm not going to get into it now because I want to keep these videos shorter for you guys so that you can take the information. I know you're busy and I know you have a lot that you're working on. So I want you to be able to take this right away and use this. So next time you're in a meeting, first, figure out what is your communication style. Do you like to give information? Or do you like to receive information? What are you, a logical person? Are you an emotional person? Now try and figure out who is my audience? What do they like? Okay. So guys, I hope this was helpful. Go ahead. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. I will respond to them. And then next week, we're going to get into a little bit more detail on, actually next week's going to be really cool. We're going to go through my meeting checklist so you can prepare for any meeting, no matter whether it's meeting your boss, having a presentation, meeting up for coffee, going to a dinner. Actually, you could use it for meeting your in-laws, meeting people out in a social environment. But we're focused here on business. We're going to talk about how to prepare for our meetings, how to focus on what we can control. We control how we prepare, and we can control how we respond. So we want to focus on that, and we're going to get better results. So how do we use this map here? Here's a couple other things. Pitch, pace, tone, body language. What do people look like? Sounds they make, types of words they use. Think about that. For you, first I want you to reflect. Think about who you are. Think about your goals. Think about their goals. Think about their fears. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel uncomfortable? What is your style? So I hope that was helpful. If you like this, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the alert bell, because next week we're going to talk about the meeting checklist, how to get ready for any meeting so that you feel more comfortable and confident in English. Let's go. Let's do it.